For more on this, we're joined by Odysseas Papadimitriou, CEO of Evolution Finance, here in the studio to talk about what this means from an international perspective. We talk a lot about it. Politics is very insular, especially right here in Washington, D.C., but it does have a very big impact. Nathan talked about it. There's concerns from the IMF to China that, hey, wait a minute, this is not a done deal as it seems.
Absolutely. I think also even for domestic consumers, it's not a done deal. It shouldn't be considered a done deal. I think what Washington has proven once again is how dysfunctional it can be, and how politics seems to be the #1 priority for our elected officials versus the wealth of the country.
Are you frustrated?
Extremely frustrated. I mean, we spent 16 days.
People are depressed about this. I mean, they don't know what to do about this problem. There's somebody else who's also frustrated as well. Take a listen to what Warren Buffett had to say about this deal.
It becomes this political weapon of mass destruction. It really is like a nuclear bomb. I think the way to solve it is just to say the debt ceiling, both parties to say the debt ceiling will never be used as a weapon of mass destruction. It's off the table.
Is it off the table? Are we going to be back at the same place again in a few months to say, if we don't raise the debt ceiling, the United States will default and it's the end of the world? Is this what we're resigned to?
I think unfortunately that's what will end up happening again. I think parties will use it as a nuclear weapon, as Warren Buffett correctly characterized it. I think the solution to this is for both parties to let both senators and congressmen vote based on what they think is best for the country and not to follow party line, and let each elected official feel the consequences of their vote.
I got to stop you there because we know that's not going to happen, okay? So they're not going to do what's best for the country, most likely, in this particular instance. But the president, it's not the first time there's been disagreement between the White House and Congress. It's happened in almost every major presidential administration.
Right.
What makes this one different? Why can't President Obama get the two sides to maybe not agree on everything, but how about be a little nicer to each other?
I think right now there is an opportunity. I think Speaker Boehner yesterday acknowledged openly a defeat. So my hope is that the president takes this opportunity to re-engage with Speaker Boehner and figure out a way to work together, because we cannot be going through this.
I heard, I was reading something earlier, and it talked about how maybe Europe has a potentially more stable political system than the U.S., and of course you laugh at this. But I don't know what to make out of it. It's almost like we've become the laughing stock in a sense that we can't get our own house in order, so obviously we can't tell anybody else what they should or shouldn't do. But the truth is it as dysfunctional as the media makes it out to be? I guess that's my question.
My belief is that right now it is
Are we causing this?
I don't think so. I think there is just pure animosity between the two sides. They're not talking, and
they hate each other.
They hate each other, and they only decide to talk to each other only on the 11th hour.
Okay, but we can't go back to this again come next year. I know the deadline's is going to be in January and February. They need to get a deal done by December. What's actually on the table? If you and I are negotiating, we're Democrats and Republicans, what are they actually going to change about the budget? What would get them to say yes?
I think there needs to be a big deal. I mean, Republicans cannot keep going back to their base and say, oh, we didn't get anything done, or we pushed it another 60 days down. I think there needs to be a big deal on tax reform, on entitlement, but both sides need to end these hard lines. Oh, we're not going to negotiate on anything that increases revenue.
Give me one bit of good news out of this. There's got to be something. We haven't said anything good about this whole thing yet. There's got to be something good that's come out of this.
I honestly think that this is the time for Speaker Boehner and the president to re-engage and rebuild the relationship of trust and get something done. After, I think sometimes relationships need to go take a dive before they can start getting on a good note.
It's like a drug addict. You're saying that they've hit rock bottom, and that maybe that they'll come around and they'll figure out something better as a way forward, right?
I think so. I think they needed to exchange those punches.
Very quickly, the rest of the world are looking at U.S. Treasury bills and the U.S. government. A serious question. Do they really need to worry about a U.S. default issue?
I don't think they need to worry about the default issue. I think they have clearly proven out of this situation that no one is willing to let the country default. But I think they need to worry about how dysfunctional the political system is and how it's becoming just worse instead of becoming better. So I think that's a real worry.
Odysseas, great to have you on the show.